Hello, friends, and welcome to Session 0 of Frontiers. I was going to say the first episode, but we're kind of do things in a wonky way this season. So it's kind of, I guess it's technically episode 3, but Session 0, there is, if you haven't listened to our world building episode, there may be spoilers for that. So if that's something that's interesting to you, maybe listen to that first. Otherwise, this is the episode in which we are going to build our characters. I'm going to go through some of the sort of homebrew systems that I have in place for this campaign, and then a little bit of extra knowledge for the boys, specifically some kind of like Blades in the Darky engagement rolls. You will be doing some random rolls on some random charts to sort of set the stage at the very beginning. For episode 1.
Oh, God.
I'm really leaning into the idea of the story is out of our hands, and we're gonna just see where the dice take us.
Just gonna strap in.
I'm so excited. Let's go.
First and foremost, we are moving into campaign 2, as evidenced by all this. Campaign 2 is called Frontiers. We are focusing on sort of 3 things this campaign, or at least I will be focusing on 3 things this campaign.
Sex, guns, rock and roll.
Pretty much. The 3 big concepts that I am looking at for this season is, and I've said this to you guys a bunch, discovery, consequence, and then for a bigger sort of zoomed out version, audience participation and collaborative storytelling. TTRPGs, and the reason why I love them is that they are a collaborative storytelling sort of experiment. Season 1 was, in my opinion, some of the best stuff that I've ever done, and I don't think it would be that way without your involvement, right? Like the collaborative nature, like we found things together that I wouldn't have ever come up with. And I don't know if any individual could. So we wanted to
I'm very glad that you weren't like, oh, you guys ruined it a little bit. It would have been better, but you know.
Yeah, you guys suck, actually.
Really brought it down a notch, but still.
Yeah.
So in this season, we've already been doing it. So if you haven't been following what we've been up to, we have been running sort of pre-campaign votes, both on our Patreon and our Discord, to set up the world with certain things. For example, our first vote was to see what corporate sponsorship we wanted to bring in. That was Wade Enterprises, famously known from season 1. Wade Enterprises, Bryce Wade, famous billionaire philanthropist. Definitely
not the Rat Man.
Yep, definitely not the Rat Man.
Not. Why would you say that?
It's crazy that you would.
I don't know.
And then we saw some other things of just like smaller additions, like how we wanted to memorialize Euceron and how we wanted to fit the houses that the citizens are going to be using with an extra sort of like benefit, which ended up being a greenhouse. And then we got generators and all these like little things that really have been collaboratively created with our audience as well. And we are going to be doing that a lot going forward. So throughout this whole season, there will be things that have been added specifically by our audience, and they will be making choices within sort of the narrative space alongside you guys.
And this will like continue as well, because I know somebody just popped into the Discord the other day and was like, oh, I wish I'd known earlier. Unless this season is over, so unless it's 2 years from now or thereabouts, you can still get in on the action, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. So so long as the season is running, the audience participation will exist from beginning till end. It may change based on things that happen. So it may not look the same way. But
you mean when we destroy this planet? Because that's what we do. We destroy planets.
Never. There will be things that will always have you guys as listeners and as our audience cast in roles as citizens within the world. Other things such as like the factions that we're doing on the Discord as well, where players can or audiences can create factions that exist within the community. We already have, I think, 3 existing ones, but some may pop up in the future as we discover groups and people and things, which then will be represented by listeners I will ask you questions in the Discord and be like, hey, how would they react to this situation? And use that to inform the story. So discovery, consequence, and collaborative storytelling are sort of our main three focuses for this campaign. Speaking of discovery, I would like to discover your characters.
Woo!
Now, I'll pose it to you guys. Do you want to go through your characters and like one at a time and back and forth? Do we want to sort of like introduce characters and sort of talk about the same topics at the same time? So like we'll talk about your species at the same time. We'll talk about your classes. Do we want to do that?
Let's do that. I think it's better.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So we're not repeating. We're not going back and doing the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought would be
just Ryan
best.
saying the same thing as Niall, but less cool, probably. So we'll
or
just
the
skip
other way
ahead.
around, more likely.
Oh, well, okay.
Then, first and foremost, let's introduce your characters. Niall, you're first on my screen, so we're going to start with you. We're just going to talk, just give me sort of like a snapshot, and then we'll dive into some more details.
Sure. They're going to be Flitlik Cavendale.
Flitlik Cavendale.
Generally known as Flit.
Okay.
And the important thing to know is that they are the number 4 boy.
Number 4 boy.
Yes, very important. They are essentially part of this like monarchy where, you know, similar to like medieval times where like the first child was like in line to basically like take over. The next child joins the military. The third child goes into the clergy. And then the fourth child, they're kind of just like, I don't know, man, do whatever the fuck you want. So he was the fourth child, never had any hopes of like ascending to the throne really. So was just sent to a very fancy academy, maybe Masler if we want to go that route, and essentially spent their time just fucking around at university and trying to really make it as a DJ. And during the Silver Invasion, during the Reckoning, during that night of chaos or those hours of chaos across the system, his entire family line was wiped out. So his mom and dad are still alive, but his 3 siblings died, leaving him kind of next in line for the throne, except the caveat being he himself was silvered, doesn't know what he did that night, and died, coming back almost immediately as a Borai.
Okay.
I don't know if this is too in-depth for what you were asking, but
this is where we are now.
Long story short, he is effectively like out of favor with his family because they don't consider him like a viable contender because he's now undead. But he's trying to prove them wrong and set out and do what one of his great ancestors did, which was like basically like find the planet, wink, and he's gonna essentially try to. That's why he's setting off to this place. He's gonna like follow in his ancestors' footsteps. That'll prove to his family that he can be the number 1 boy, not the number 4 boy.
Before you were saying they, is that their pronouns or are they?
No,
he?
they are he, him.
Okay, cool.
So they are a Barai that used to be a Decimar Imago, which is like a butterfly creature.
Okay. We'll get into species in a second. Ryan, introduce your character, please.
Yeah, my character's name is Vlinaggin, but goes by Vlin. So just for my own mental timeline, Reckoning was 30 years ago, is that what we're going with?
But 25 years.
25 years ago.
Maybe I might have to revisit the timeline. For some reason, I did not factor that in.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're an old guy. All right, old boy. Because I'm an old boy, but like... So Vlinaggin is a Sheeran, which we'll go into more detail of what that means in a little bit. But anyway, they're a ant. If they're an ant. But Vlinaggin is a father to like 15, grandfather to even more. But at this point in their life, the way that... Once again, we'll get more into it, but Sheeran are all about experience and making their own choice. So at this point, they're middle-aged for a Sheeran, which is 30 years old. And they decide that they need to leave. Something happens to them. They get hit by purple lightning. Their body starts to change, and their body starts to change and grow up and develop. And he thinks he's at the time now where he can start living for himself. So, you know, Sheeran's reach adulthood at 5 years old. So, you know, his kids are grown up. His grandkids are almost grown up. And he leaves his 2 partners. Sheeran's have, they're in thruples. So it's a male, a female, and a host. Anyway, he leaves them does his own thing, and now he's off seeking adventure, seeking to grow, seeking to figure out what happened to him on that lowly night. And he also loves rock and roll.
Okay.
And that's Vlinaggin.
All right.
I'm retconning my character. Okay, it doesn't make sense that he would be 25 years older than I was imagining him. I don't know why that mind blipped me, but I was so excited by having it tie into season 1 that I just didn't count. Instead of it being linked to that night, there's one day all 4 siblings die. Mysteriously, it's not clear, but it seems weird that would happen unless somebody orchestrated it. But for reasons unknown, he came back as a Barai.
Okay, well, that is an excellent segue into talking about your species and what that means and what they can do and what they look like. What the hell's a Barai?
So Barais are a really bizarre kind of undead where you are undead, but you're not like instead of a dead body being animated by negative energy, you are a mostly dead body that retains the smallest sliver of its soul. So you're like kind of undead, but like not really. And nobody really knows why. Like there are a lot of different ways it can happen. You can be too stubborn to die. You can be a partially botched resurrection, or it can just happen, which is kind of fun. So you're basically undead, but you're kind of not undead.
Okay.
The fun thing is you get to keep a part of, like, you're mainly just Borai, but you do get to keep a part of your original like species, which is the butterfly people. Dane was very kind and let me keep a cool ability, which I'll get into. Do you want me to run through the Borai abilities?
Yeah, let's talk about Barai, and then we'll talk about the thing that I'm sure I will regret.
Probably
I can't
not,
believe you
honestly.
let him do it. I thought you changed your mind when he said Barai. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That thing was busted.
I made the decision. I said, I'm pretty sure I said, let's fuck around and find out, I think was my answer.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I said it. Discovery and consequence, baby.
Probably not as OP as Nat 1s becoming Nat 20s. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
So they are medium undead. They do not gain normal undead immunities. They have dark vision. For effects targeting creatures by type, they count as both humanoid and undead, whichever effect is worse. But they are immune to negative energy damage and get a +1 to saving throws against disease, exhaustion, fatigue, mind-affecting effects, paralysis, poison, sleep, and stunning. They count as living creatures for the purposes of healing. And if destroyed, they can be brought back by raised dead. That bring them back to life as if they're alive, which is fun. Then old talents is basically they're able to keep one of their racial traits from their original species. And resist energy drain is you take no penalty from energy drain effects, but you can still be destroyed if you accrue more negative levels than you have class levels.
Okay.
So the ability that I kept from my Decimar Amigo, however you say that, is Twinkle, which basically gives me a daily dimension door, which is really fun. So once per day is move action.
Is so mild.
They can teleport 40 feet, can't bring other creatures along, and if a solid body occupies the arrival point, it fails without expending its daily use, otherwise functions as dimension door.
I can't wait till Dane has invisible bodies in all the spaces you want to be.
Sorry, there is a guy there. Oops, I'm going to have a dude who's just constantly like wandering around, and just you have to do a luck check to see if he's wandered into your
hex. Yeah.
It's just that bat guy.
Yeah.
So like pseudo undead, like I don't think he is, like he definitely has not come to terms with it yet and is trying to pass it off like it hasn't happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan, let's go over Sheeran. They're not a complete mystery to our listeners. However,
no,
I don't think we ever had. I think Nyx was the most recurring Sheeran character,
and he wasn't like a traditional Sheeran by any sense. So Sheeran historically were originally part of something called the Swarm. So they were, and they still are, this world-ending hive mind of giant locust-like creatures that travel galaxies, destroying planets and assimilating and doing terrible, terrible things. But a small group of them centuries ago got their own independence. And we don't really know why. Some people say because of the goddess Hylix, but that is all up for debate. Anyway, they become independent. They escape from the Swarm, and now they are the Sheeran. So the Sheeran are ant-like medium humanoids. They can speak, but people find them unsettling, so they do have telepathy. So they do a lot of telepathic communication. and their giant antennas also give them a blind sense for vibrations. But even though they sort of resent what they were with the swarm, they still do have a very rich community of being together. Like, they resent that and they do value independence, but they're still very much a community species. So they do have an ability called communalism. So as long as I'm working together with someone once per day, I can re-roll one of my attack rolls or skill checks, roll twice and take the highest. They're all about finding new stimulus. Like literally these guys get joy from just making their own choices in life. So they have cultural fascination, which gives me a +2 to culture and diplomacy checks, and limited telepathy into the blind sense. My Sheeran, I took the worker version of it, so I got a +2 to the strength, dex, and then a negative to charisma. But
a negative to charisma, Ryan.
I know I know. Hey, we're gonna get into a class, and I'm about to complain a bunch about Dane not letting me do a certain thing again. But
what did I let you do?
Play a Solarian again.
Oh, yes.
I believe you were allowed. I got a shout out.
No, I was not. I was not allowed.
I got to shout out our prologue for freeing us from the android soldier curse, where someone always has to play an android soldier in a Starfinder season that we do.
I got bad news for you. Liv did play an android soldier.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why we don't have to do it.
We're free. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I'm here to thank Liv for freeing us from the android soldier curse.
Yes, it's true. But look, I'm not saying this season is going to be devoid of android soldiers. There's still
hey, once one of us didn't have to be one, that's
all we do.
Okay. So we've talked about our species. We've talked about our characters. Let's talk about
bug boys.
Bug boys. You guys
bug boys?
Just a couple buggy boys. Let's talk about your classes. Ryan, I know, is upset that he's not Solarian again.
Correct. But I found the next best thing. So
correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe you ever told him he couldn't.
He did.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, damn.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Ryan. If you want, we can manufacture your death like
you and I both know you would have just transitioned into Merrick.
You mean Mazin, Merrick and Azin's adopted son.
Is it really bizarre that I was like, adopted? Why didn't they? And I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, let's talk about classes. This time we'll start with you now.
Didn't we always start with me? But yeah, let's keep going. I'm being a precog after it took me just to barely. Fucking, I don't know why I've had so much trouble picking. I was going to go Technomancer or Precog. And then when I chose Precog, I found it so hard to pick their anchor. How in depth do you want me to get with my choices here, Dane?
I mean, I would like you to introduce the class. Let people know what precogs are, and what this anchor, like the concepts and the core sort of fundamental info we need to know this class.
Hell yeah. So precogs, as the name might suggest, are precognitive. They can see the future. So it's a lot of timey-wimey shit where they get bonuses from seeing into the future, or pulling things back from the future, or rewinding or fast forwarding time. They are a spellcasting class, which is really fun. So finally a little magic. And by that, I mean, we'd had a lot of magic last season. So I don't know why I'm saying that. Or not last season, but for no jobs. So it'll be fun to have magic. One of the core things that the class has is it's called paradoxes, where you basically bank some D20 rolls at the start of each day, and you can sub them in for various things, which is really exciting because, if you get a 20, you have that 20 to just drop at the opportune moment, which is very fun. And I think one of the best things about precogs. And the anchor is effectively how you came to get your powers, or where it comes from, almost like a warlock's patron. So one of them, for example, is chronomancy, and it's you just have this kind of innate ability. The one is you're gaining it from the gap, which is really fun, where you can do a lot of stuff where you don't show up on camera, or you can erase yourself from the timeline of others, so they forget you and shit. So that one's really cool. I was really torn between 3. I went with Fragmented Past, and it's basically there's a moment in your life that never should have happened. So something happened and it just basically altered what fate had in store for you. And as a result, you kind of, from being your timeline getting fucked, it kind of opened you up into these time-based powers. So obviously, I think that moment being the death of their siblings and themselves, it wasn't meant to happen for reasons, which I think is probably part and parcel as to why they're now a Barai. Just something that wasn't meant to happen happened that day. And now they can kind of like see through time in a way that previously they couldn't.
Cool. Ryan, what is your class all about?
My class is the Evolutionist. So when Dane wouldn't let me play a Solarian again, I said, let me find another class that uses a weird point system and cool choices to give me, I don't want to say bullshit abilities, but to give me spell-like abilities without using magic. And I found it. It's the Evolutionist. So the Evolutionist is someone whose body's always changing. So you're sort of growing and developing as you level up, gaining more sort of implants for free and new abilities. And it comes in a bunch of different ways. Yeah, so to read the block to make sure it's clear, it's conflict drives innovation. And in a strange or dangerous galaxy, you've unlocked unparalleled means to adapt by embracing mystic tradition or extensive augmentation, deliberate genetic mutation, or relying on other extraordinary means. You transform yourself into a powerful being better suited to achieving your goals. So that's sort of it. So when you pick the class, there's really a couple distinct ways you can go. You sort of pick your niche. So that sort of decides on where your evolutionary powers come from. So some of the options, just to give people an idea, it's like it could be divine, mechanized, so it could either be from the gods or from machinery or from undead or just from nature. I picked Eldritch. So it comes from magic. So this purple lightning bolt that struck Vlinaggin on that fateful night caused something to stir in his DNA.
We could have been two undead bug boys.
It could have been, but Vlinaggin's a dad. He's durable.
Damn.
So the big factor besides the Eldritch heritage is that in combat, evolutionists generate mutation points, so MPs. So similar to what happened with Merrick in Solarian, the longer they fight, the more points they get and the more points they have to spend on abilities. Having just MPs generated give me like more movement speed and more like better saves. There's a bunch of different things that will come up and develop as we grow. And then I can use some of those mutation points on some abilities that I get throughout it. So for example, because I have an Eldritch background, as long as I have one mutation point, I have a spell resistance equal to 5 plus my mutation points plus my level.
Cool.
And then I get bonus to saving throws against certain spells. But I also have a drawback. So the first time I take normal damage each round, I take an additional amount of damage equal to my level plus the mutation points I have. So I'm good against magic, not as good against physical damage.
Damn, that's insane. So like at level 10, if I hit you, it's just like a flat level, like at least minimum 10 points of damage.
Yep.
Damn.
Ooh.
Each round. Yep. Oh, yeah, dude. You said Magic Planet. I was like, I'm going to be anti-magic boy. But then the cool ability that I have is spell bending. So if Niall casts a spell 30 feet away from me that targets someone else, I can reroute it to me, and then I roll. And if I fail the save, I still get to redirect it and increase its range. But if I succeed on this throw, I get to add bonus effects to Niall's spells as we redirect them.
Okay.
So I can increase the DC by 2
of that
to a maximum of 10 plus half my level plus blah 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 blah. Or I can increase the level of it, so I can add 2 to the caster level of the spell if it needs it to get over spell resistance. Or I can change the damage of Niall's spell to my adaptive strike spell. So another thing I should have said is that, like a Solarian, have a natural weapon that can't be taken from me, and I get to choose the damage. So I'm doing melee electrical damage. So he punches pink lightning.
That's fun.
Or purple lightning. So I can change any of Niall's spells into electrical damage. And then as I level up, I get free mods. Like I'm sure we talked about a little bit in last season. I don't know if we did. What are they called when you can buy mods for yourself?
Like
what's
augments?
the word?
Yeah, upgrades.
Augments. Like I get free augments and upgrades as we level
That's
up.
sick.
And I have dark vision.
Hell yeah.
Get fucked, Dane.
Get fucked, Dane.
Fuck.
I also have dark vision, Dane.
Oh, my dark plans. God.
I know, but I
This
did
planet,
mention
you just see it getting brighter by the second as we speak.
I know. And as I stated earlier, he loves rock and roll. So he has a fulcrum, which is like an item that he can enchant to increase my attacks. So it's what I put like weapon mods on to affect my fists. And his fulcrum is a guitar pick one of his children gave to him that he wears around his neck. that he made out of like rock. So it's like a dark stone guitar pick that one of his kids made for him.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, I'm excited. Do I know where this class is going to go? No. That's the fun thing about Evolutionist is that as we play out and we see how combat goes, he will evolve. I don't have any plans.
Hey, you will discover.
I will was that what this whole campaign's about?
This is probably time to let you in on a consequence of your actions, Dane, which is that one of my guns is also my DJ deck.
Okay.
Are you a DJ?
I am a DJ, yeah.
Oh my God, and I play rock and roll. We're going to start a band. Actually, Dane, we're just going to start a band. Fuck this shit.
Hey, like I said,
Linkin Park, dude.
My campaign notes is like 1 page long, as opposed to like the shit that I had written for Reckoning was quite substantial. The goal or the plan for this one is very. So if you want to make this about you guys starting a fucking rock and roll band, it will work. It will fit. I've tailored this campaign specifically to make sure that like kind of no matter what happens, the underlying story can progress so that there'll be structure, but what that structure is, I don't know what it looks like.
Dude, you're giving us too much power. But yeah, anyway, really jazzed. I'm not sad that I couldn't be a Solarian again because I'm really excited to be Evolutionist. So let's do it. Except when Dane doesn't do any magic at us for 10 episodes and then I'm just getting killed constantly.
Also, am I right in thinking that Precog and Evolutionist are the two most recent classes?
I believe so. Yeah.
Because I know Evolutionist is for sure.
Yeah, I think it was like Nanosight and Precog and then Evolutionist.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah. They are the two classes I know the least about. So I'll be learning as well.
Gotcha. We did that on purpose, baby. Oh God, discovering.
So the last part of building your character is selecting a theme. So I would like to know what your themes are. Niall, what theme did you select?
I'm an icon.
Of course you are.
I'm an icon living.
Just not in a good way. He was a DJ that went viral for being so bad. So like a very like a Rebecca Black.
Right.
Who is currently
doing great stuff.
Yeah. Like, let's not be, that's his idol, right? It's like, he's going to get there, but he's also not, he's one of those people that's really oblivious and thinks people love him for doing a good job.
Right. So the majority of people on TikTok.
Yeah. He doesn't know he beefed it. He thinks he's killing it. And it wasn't like, he isn't viral in general. It's just like one song kind of popped off.
Right.
And it was like his rich dad, like paid to get him a music video and everything. Like it was really just not good.
It's one of those booths at the mall that has...
Yeah, like it's really just not good. And like, he's not even like good famous. Just people will be like, oh my God, is that guy? Like, or,
right.
You know, when they see DJ Flutterboy, they're going to be like, oh shit, I know that name.
Ryan, what's your theme?
I went with Sensate to go with the whole Sheeran idea of sort of why he left his family. He didn't leave he's not a deadbeat dad.
Can't believe
everyone has
grown.
Family. His partners may have not loved it, but he left. But yeah, so he's always in search of new sensations and experiences. So what that sort of meant for me, and what that gives me is I got a bonus to perception because he's sort of always looking out for new experiences and seeing how people react to things. So yeah, it just sort of buffs up that idea that he's just here to explore, to see, to grow. He doesn't have an end goal. He's just here to sort of live his life. Whether he lives or dies, he's here to discover.
And finally, to finish off talking about characters, I'm going to, now that I know your characters, we're going to talk privately, individually, about adding a free archetype to your characters.
Oh!
So you will get an archetype that will not replace any of your class abilities and will sort of like give you a suite of abilities based kind of on sort of like what your vibe is. Niall, I think I know what yours is going to be. Cool. I'm going to have to sort of like go through and see if I can figure one out for you, Ryan. And then I'll let you know. The cool thing is Hephaestus, the program we use to build our characters, has an option for a free archetype. So fairly easy to add in.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I don't know anything about archetypes.
Love having more shit, so thank you.
Is there a deadbeat dad option?
Is there a DJ option? Because you seem pretty confident about me.
There is a like DJ-ish archetype thing. It's all about choosing the right music for the mood.
Hell yeah.
Kick ass. Okay. I think that's going to cover it for character stuff right now, we're going to dig into your knives a little bit, like the ones that you're willing to share. There are some that I think you'll probably want to like keep close to the chest, which is fine. You can tell me, we'll do a document where you give me those information privately so we can discover them naturally and organically in the story. But we're going to do the first of sort of my homebrew systems for this campaign, which is the Fated Number.
I've been so scared for this.
The Fated Number is going to be a system that runs throughout the entire campaign. And the way it works is you guys are going to roll a d20. And that number that you get will be sort of the number that is intrinsically tied to your character for whatever reason, right? Maybe it's a number that you guys have seen. Maybe it's the day you were born. Something about this number is important to you. Maybe you don't even know that it's important to you. It just is. If you roll a 1, I get to pick your number. If you roll a 20, you get to pick your number. So the number has to be between 2 and 19 so that we don't play around with sort of like the cosmic significance of 1s and 20s. I will explain kind of what happens when you roll these numbers, but let's find out what you get in terms of what your number will be. So roll me a d20, gentlemen.
I was 1 off the number I was hoping for no reason. I got 7.
Okay. What did you want?
Lucky number
you wanted
7?
an 8?
I don't know. I figured if I had to pick, I would pick an 8. I don't know why.
Okay. Ryan, what'd you get?
I got 10, just down the middle.
Yeah, I mean, those are not bad rolls.
Hey, those are one of the numbers of all time.
Those are certainly numbers that you have rolled. So there are 2 things that happen when you roll your fated number. The first is I will be keeping track of certain things in relation to sort of the things that are important to you, which we will talk about off air and a little bit in the knives, but mostly off air. I will know sort of the things that matter to you, your core principles. There will be times where you make decisions based on those, and that will increase or decrease your fate. So you both will have a invisible stat that I am in control of that represents your fate. When you roll your fated number, that modifier gets added to that roll. So it could be a minus, it could be a plus. There will be moments where you make big choices that aren't intrinsically linked to your core beliefs. Those will be moments in which I ask for a fate roll, which will be just almost like a luck check. And those will be sort of like moments of, if you decide to kill an enemy or let them go or try to convert them, things like that. So like pivotal moments in the story, there will be moments where if you choose certain things, you will have to do a roll, and those will be like drastic effects on your fate. You don't know what you're trying to appease. You don't know what fate wants.
So like if I go to kill someone and you ask for a fate roll and I
No,
fail,
it will happen after you do it.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I was like, does it stop me from doing it? Because that doesn't sound fun.
Once you make a decision and something cool. and the path is written.
So you just really want to like psychologically torture us when we have to roll for a thing we don't know if it's good or bad or anything. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're saying when we get like, let's say I roll a 7, that may plus or minus my roll. Okay.
So if your fate score is high, that could be a bonus, which makes a 7, which is a fairly low roll, could make it a success, right? Or alternatively, it could make it bad, right? So like, say you roll 7, you have a +7 to hit, something's AC is 14, but your fate is -1, you won't hit. It will be treated as a 13. Whereas if you have a 7 or you roll a 7, you're a +7 to hit, and their AC is 15, and you have a +1, you will hit.
Okay. So when we roll our fated number, you're just going to have to add on secretly.
Yes. So you will sort of have to tell me when you roll your fated number, because it's not just my secret fate mechanic. It will also be intrinsically linked to the event chart and your event die. So every time you roll your fated number, there will also be a die that is associated with it called the event die, which you will then roll onto a event chart. And this will simulate the world existing outside of your influence. These will be things that will be either completely unnoticeable to you because they're so mundane, all the way to world-ending catastrophes. The way I've balanced this is I have 20 charts, and you will be starting with a D4. So at the start of the game, the only charts available to you are 1 to 4. They are fairly tame. There are no catastrophes and very limited conflicts. As you go up the number of charts, more catastrophes are added, more conflicts are added, the more severe the consequences could be for these rolls. This stops you from accidentally rolling like a nat 1 on your first thing and ending the world in our first campaign or our first session. So the way it works is you'll start with a D4. So now you roll a 7. We play out as it is. Your fate score is added behind the scenes. You then have to roll an event die. You roll a D4. If you hit a 4, that event die now turns into a D6. So now charts 1 to 6 are available to you, and so on and so forth. Every time you hit the maximum number on a die, it grows and it becomes a larger die and more charts.
But if we're unlucky within a couple of rolls, we could be up to chart 20.
Yep.
Now, if I roll a 4 and it blows up, do I still get a 4 and roll on that chart? Okay, so it's not like I now rolled a 6.
No. Okay, you've just sort of evolved your dice for the next roll. Yeah. And those charts will just be, again, persistent throughout. You will not be able to roll the same thing twice. So if for whatever reason you roll, a 4, you get on chart 4, and you roll an 11, and the next time you do, someone rolls a 4 and 11, nothing will happen.
Nice.
So
nothing will happen as in we roll again, or nothing will happen as in that
is just fate and luck rolling, playing exist.
Cool.
And you are safe from the consequences of that action. Though I will say there are quite a few good things that will happen on the chart.
Okay, that's good.
Nice.
And we'll talk about sort of the modifiers of the events as well as we talk about the settlement, which is what we built in our previous world building episode. If you've been a part of the votes, and if you've sort of been paying attention, all of the choices have stats linked to it. So there are 6 stats tied to the settlement. There's comfort, luxury, entertainment, industry, technology, and environment. And those are sort of the core stats of the settlement. I was going to say, if you want, we can reveal the
current standings.
And I can let you know sort of what has affected all these things. So as it stands right now, your settlement has a 13 in comfort, a 9 in luxury, a 14 in entertainment, an 8 in industry, a 13 in technology, and a 10 in environment.
That makes sense.
Okay. So right now, your place is a pretty comfortable place to live. It's not all that bougie. You have excellent entertainment options. So people are pretty
crazy because I don't think we actually added any entertainment ourselves. That's just Wade coming in because I feel like we were just here's some crazy. I just put animals around.
You just gave us cryptids and horrors.
You just gave us a bunch of weird animals. And then technology is also pretty high. So just a look behind the scenes. So the comfort comes from the Usaron Botanical Gardens, the personal biodomes, the Century Vista Mall that was voted on and implemented through the votes. You did lose one for the bat cryptid, but then you also
he could be chill.
He could be chill.
What if he just comes and gives you little head scritchies and cuddles up?
At that point in time, if you discover that the bat cryptid is cool, then maybe it'll turn into a +1 because you have a little buddy. You also gain one for creating the rangers and the watchtowers.
Cool.
Your luxury, we lost a point from the Lumicore generator, which is something that the Discord decided to add. You also lost some for the personal biodome, but we do gain one from the Century Vista Mall, which is another of the Wade Enterprises editions, and a +2 from the Copper Cutlasses creation because they will be dealing in sort of hard to get goods. Entertainment, again, just having Wade Enterprises on the planet boosted you up. The Century Vista Mall also, and Nile, the Black Slate Brewing Company, has also added to your entertainment rating. Wade's focus on entertainment reduces your industry. Technology from Wade Enterprises. I gave us a +1 from just across the board. We did a lot of science stuff during the world building. So I just said community advancements. And then we also built a hospital, which also increases your technology. And finally, the environment is sort of the wildest ride. So Wade Enterprises bumps that down just because they care about big flashy lights. It's tough on energy. But then you got some back from the Botanical Gardens. You got some back from the Lumicore generator. And you got some back from the personal biodome. However, you took a huge hit from the Century Vista Mall. So that pretty much just kind of canceled it out, and you ended up sort of like
pumping out toxic sludge in the back.
Yeah, it's more like a drain on resources.
I love it how I built like this like cute little shopping district, and then Way Enterprises was like, fuck that mall.
All those stats lead into modifiers essentially for the settlement. So comfort directly affects your population. Luxury affects the item quality or the item level that is available, just basic in the, that's not to say it's locked there, but it will be harder to get things. You'll have to go actually put in some work to get items above a certain level. It also affects how much you are paid for your missions, because it represents the wealth that is sort of like accumulated in the community. So the lower your luxury, the lower the sort of wealth everyone has, they can't pay as much for jobs. Entertainment directly affects your morale. Morale is going to affect how people feel within the settlement. So it'll be a lot easier to find helpful NPCs with a high morale. With a lower morale, people are going to be a lot more guarded. People are going to be a lot more angry. People are going to be a lot less likely to assist you in your adventures. Industry affects your infrastructure and weapons and armor and what's available in that level. Infrastructure is going to be, that will be a check if there's ever disasters or catastrophes. Your infrastructure gets rolled to see how much damage is dealt to the settlement.
It's a bad stat to have as our lowest. Who needs weapons or a healthy city after a disaster?
Hey man, all we have is a cool herd and pink goats. Like, we're fine. There's nothing scary out there. There's no bat creature. That's not real.
Technology leads into education, which is makes it easier to get healed, makes it cheaper to get healing, also increases the likelihood that there is an expert. If you're looking for information, that there is someone who knows something about it, which will give you bonuses to skill checks to recall knowledge and gain information. So the higher technology, it also increases sort of the item level for healing items and technological items. Nice. And finally, your environment. This is sort of the most passive one. The environment affects your climate, and that will almost exclusively be event-based. So when certain events happen, we will check against the climate score, and things will either get better, worse, or not happen because of it. For example, if you have a really good climate, the likelihood of like a flash flood happening is slim. But if heavy rains start coming in and you have a low climate, that might result in flash flooding, stuff like that. So all of these are also modifiers for events on the event chart. There are certain things that'll happen. So for example, if you roll on the event chart, a gang starts forming in the settlement. That might happen behind the scenes, but if your comfort and morale are high enough, the gang might not be able to take hold as fast as if your morale and comfort were lower, because people are more willing to join a gang to get their necessities and stuff. So there'll be little things like that in the background happening as well. So you'll have to kind of like figure out what you want to raise and what you want to invest in to make the settlement manageable for you. Or also, because we are not tied to alignment in this campaign, if you guys wanted to make a criminal enterprise or something along the lines of that, you would actually have to work towards lowering the comfort.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know if a dad and a DJ will start an underground crime ring, but you never know.
It's just Breaking Bad, really.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, never mind.
Examples. Just like depending on what you're trying to accomplish as personal characters, you might actually want to
help or hinder.
Yeah, you might want to start making efforts into raising and lowering stats.
So what this sounds like, Dan, is that there'll be a lot of stuff to be revealed behind the curtain during our 10-minute rests.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like a lot of this stuff I won't sort of be able to pull the curtain back on until it's come to fruition. But I am happy to, once things have been revealed, sort of tell you the results of the roles that you get, because I do think that is a fun part of it.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm going to be so curious every single time I do anything. I'm like, what was it, Dane?
We're going to be so paranoid. We're going to be like, oh, this would have passed if it wasn't for Dane's bullshit. Like, so mad. Well, how dare you make more reasons for us just to blame you, Dane? Like, I'm sorry.
I do want to stress that fate isn't a logical thing. So trying to guess what it wants or trying to guess how it will react and trying to guess what you need to do is a fool's game. And that's to sort of push you guys into just playing your characters, making choices that your characters want to make and seeing what happens, because fate may want you to go a certain direction. If you think that like, oh, I have to be good because it's better, that's not the case. Fate isn't morality. And I really want to stress that is they are not equatable. I think that's it for homebrew stuff.
Nice. Have we gotten to your secret yet?
Yeah,
I'll stop it.
Secret.
Oh, yes. My secret is once we've finished this and your characters are created, you will both have to make me second characters.
No.
I just spent so much time figuring out this one.
There isn't a whole rush for it, but I want you to start thinking about secondary characters.
Are we going to die, Dane?
Definitely going to die. When I roll a 7, a 4, a 6, an 8, a 10, a 12, and then a 20, and then a 1, dead. That's
Wait,
like 3 sessions right there.
Why were you just listing off numbers? What just happened there?
I roll a 7, which is a faded number. That makes me roll a d4, and then I roll a 4, which brings me to a 6, and then I roll a 6, which brings me, and then I get to the 20th chart, and I roll on that 1, and you obliterate us all. Come on, Dane.
Yes.
It's your system. Keep up.
Okay, do we want to go through the knives real quick?
Yeah, let's do some knives. Let's end on some spicy tidbits.
Yeah, just some small things. And then we're going to get into sort of the engagement role, as it were. Unless there's anything you guys want to talk about, we'll also discuss safety tools quickly. But because it's us, we use the same things every time. But it's worth mentioning just to get people used to talking about it in session zeros. So knives, I want you to think about the named people that your characters care about. Again, you don't have to give me a full list now, but start thinking about the people in your life, both living and dead, who matter to you. This is going to be very helpful for me because that means I can bring these characters up and into the story when it makes sense to. I would like you to think about your phobias and traumas. What are your characters scared of, and why are they scared of it? Big ones, I think 2 of you have, or both of you have one of these of mysteries about your character. And these are things that your character doesn't know. And I think it's like, why did you, like, who killed your siblings and why did you come back? Seems like a big one for you. And what the hell's that purple lightning and what are these powers? Seem to be like the 2 big character mysteries. But if you have other ones, please feel free to add it in and let me know. Enemies of your character. These can be mortal life and death enemies. These can be people who don't really like you. These can be like an online troll for you, Niall. Someone who like fucking like follows your every move and leaves a mean comment on you every time. And these could be your past partners for you, Ryan. Like if they really don't like you leaving, then this can fall into that. Other ones are obligations that they have and to whom. And the same thing, sort of obligations that they failed and to whom. There's some other ones. I kind of like added these in, but I think they're worth talking about is, have you committed a serious crime and are you falsely accused of a crime? And then this is something that's really important. I want you guys, and if you know it, please let me know now. I would like you guys to have a favorite item, a sentimental token or family heirloom.
Literally, he was born with a golden spoon in his mouth. Like literally they get a golden spoon upon birth. So he has his like heirloom family golden spoon.
Cool. And Ryan,
my guitar pick, dude. My homemade rock lightning enchanted guitar pick.
Hell yeah.
That's probably what the lightning hit. Like the lightning hit that, I probably would have died, but I hit this, whatever this pick is made out of. Maybe I don't know the material. It's made out of this material. It just got, my kid found it, said, "Here, Dad." Lightning struck it, and I survived.
Cool. Okay. Hell yeah.
Yours is way cooler than mine.
And then
Rock
finally,
and roll, baby.
This is something you'll tell me privately. Secrets that you are keeping.
I don't like Niall's character, but we won't talk about that.
A lot of people won't. In-game, hopefully. Only.
So those are the knives that I want you guys to think about. We will bring them. I'll send them out to you. I mean, I think you guys already have the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll send them back to me so that I can sort of like weave my tales with your details. Before we get into sort of the final bits here, let's talk about safety tools. As usual, we will be using lines and veils. I think at this point in time, we have memorized each other's lines and veils pretty well, but things change, people change, and new things bother people. So we will be using lines and veils. For those unfamiliar with lines and veils, that is just We make 2 lists. I guess ours has 3 lists. One is the lines, which are things that we do not cross, that never happen. One of the things that we use on ours is like racial violence, sexual violence. Those things will never be a part of our show. We get to make this world. Why are we going to make it shit? Those are just things that just will not happen in our games, period. There's a few others, but they're mostly private stuff. And then there's veils. Those are things that can be referred to, referenced, but not happen in sort of like action. So things like torture, you can find a tortured body, but we won't role play out a scenario where
we're not going to be like, well, like deep dive, like move by move.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And then we also have an additional spot that we've added in of sort of like get consent first. Ask permission. Those are things like romantic advancements and stuff like that. You want to talk to the player to make sure they're okay with it before you move on. And then we have our X card. That's our safety net. That's our ripcord. We make a big X. We stop play and we rewind. Because this is a narrative podcast. Usually when that happens, you just fast forward the scene. You get out of there. You check in with the player. You make sure you're all right, and then just carry the story on. As a narrative show, we kind of rewind back to the safest point and pick up and go a different direction, just because it would be very jarring to just end mid-scene and no one knows what happened. That's the only kind of change we do to that. Do you guys have any questions for me about expectations or content or running the game or anything you want to add about your characters?
I don't think so. Like, obviously, I think me and Niall have an idea what to expect until you fuck with us a whole bunch behind the screen and then blame it on fate. Oh, sorry, Ryan and Niall. Fate did this.
Fate happened.
Fate's just Dane wearing a fucking like glasses and a fucking fake mustache on top of his already existing mustache.
Yeah. But once again, we've been playing together for a long time, so you know what to expect. But even once again, as you said earlier, it doesn't hurt to always have these conversations with your other players and your game masters. Even if you've been playing for a long time like we have, it's always important to keep up on it for your home games. But yeah, fuck you, Dane.
No, yeah, I'm pretty set. I think I'm just excited to dive in.
Yeah. Speaking of diving in.
Actually, I do have one really important. Sorry. I have one really important thing to ask you. Would you consider profession DJ to be more intelligence based or dexterity based?
I would say charisma.
That's not what I asked you.
I would say intelligence, because you have to make the tunes. Everything else is just flair.
Because I'm thinking like Dex is more like, like the actual
No, that's weak. You're just that's your best skill, isn't it?
It is my best skill.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm gonna have to go with if you're not gonna go charisma because you're performing. If you want to go the technical aspect of it, I think intelligence, because you need to like look at the BPMs. You need to be able to
So like Dex to keep up with everything.
No.
I'm gonna say intelligence is my official ruling.
Okay.
Okay, let's dive into what is... So I'm going to read you the question, except for two of them. Two of them I will be keeping secret. I will also
Fate's going to answer those.
I will also be keeping the results a secret. I just want you to know sort of kind of what you're rolling. So we're going to alternate back and forth. I have an even number of charts here. This will be a D6 roll. For you, Niall, who has already made a name for themselves in the settlement?
You just wanted to roll a 6?
Yep.
Like a D6?
Yep.
That's a 4.
It's a bat, isn't it? Everything's going to be the bat.
Bat's the mayor when we arrive.
Ryan, what geological feature has yet to be discovered?
That's a 4. We're going to keep the 4 train going.
Niall, what constructed feature has yet to be discovered?
It's a 5.
Ryan, what traces of the planet's origin remains?
A 2.
Okay.
The brain exploder.
And finally, Niall, your secret question. Please roll me a D6.
Oh, yeah, fuck. I forgot the secret questions. You better tell us these within 3 weeks or I'm going to explode from anticipation. That's 6.
Okay.
That fucking smile.
And Ryan, your secret question.
A 2.
You suck on your D6?
I sucked on my dice. Yeah, well, I didn't suck. It was a kiss, a little kiss.
You just got to get the flavor first.
I just had to get the I'm trained to be a dad, Dane. I don't do anything except awkwardly.
Here's what I'm going to tell you about your 2 secret questions.
Yeah.
One of you rolled the best possible situation. The other rolled the worst possible situation.
Me. Okay, good. That makes sense. It's on brand.
I don't know. The 6 could be the worst. He might want to fuck with us that way.
Yeah, these were the numbers were not in any sort of like ranking of importance or goodness. Okay, we I think have everything we need to go into
one more thing.
2.
I'm actually Ryan. We forgot these are our characters for a different season. We're actually both TTRPG salesmen in Casamol.
Oh,
yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot about that, Dane. Let's just redo the episode.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start.
My character's name is Merrick. He's
level 16 Solarian.
Yeah, he's retired. He's just looking for a place to hang out.
Yeah, mine is actually Cody, and they just kind of going around hawking Paizo products to people. Yeah,
cool. Thank you very much for listening. We are now set and primed and ready to jump into the world of Campaign 2. And now would be an excellent time to tell you the name of the planet. I kind of gave it up a little bit in the document. I don't know if you noticed it.
I did. I was confused.
Yeah. So the planet is named Dura Sancta, which is Valai for second chance. And this is sort of the planet that has arrived here. It has been named using the Valai information that you guys have, Casamol has gathered over the past 25 years. And as a fitting tribute to both you, Saran, and the Valai's mission, it has been named Dura Sancta.
I'm sure it's going to be a perfectly safe place where nothing bad ever happens.
Yeah. This is our cozy Stardew Valley. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing about obsidian. What's that all about?
That's no scary bat cryptids that one of us might have injected into the world to ruin everyone's lives.
I listened to that episode and I was like, oh man, me and Niall hate ourselves because we came up with bat cryptid, scary black oil rig. Like they were like the first things we said.
Yeah, you guys went pretty hard on yourselves.
I'm still banking for Batrick to be cool.
Batrick? Is that his name?
Thank you very much for listening. We will see you in 2 weeks' time in Session 1, the first premiere episode of the campaign proper.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Mwah.